We're going to go to a question and answer session now with our three featured speakers. They're going to come up here. Following that question and answer session, we're going to do a still photo opportunity and video photo opportunity out here in front with the Philip F. Anschutz Trophy. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We do have wireless mics available for our journalists who would like to ask questions for our featured speakers. So if we could, journalists, just raise your hand. We'll start off with some questions. We have the gentleman right down here in front.
Commissioner Garber, Dan Gerard with the Toronto Star. Wondering, November 21st at 8:30 p.m. in Toronto, how concerned are you about the weather issue?
You know, it's a good question. 5 years ago, certainly this would hold true. 10 years ago, we never would have thought that you'd be willing to take the risk. I think now the league is mature enough, and certainly the fans here are supportive enough, care about the game enough, that even if the weather is a challenge, we're sure we'll have a packed stadium and we'll be able to have great events in and around it. It's the evolution of our fan base and the growth in the popularity and interest that exists for our championship game that I think we could overcome just about any challenge now.
Excellent. We'll continue with our questions. If our journalists could state your name and your affiliation before you ask the question, that would be tremendous.
Stephen Sandor with the Toronto Sun. Commissioner Garber, you've had an all-star game here, have an MLS Cup here, got a team coming in Vancouver, likely a team in Montreal. Has there been any sort of blowback from the American fans saying maybe there's just too much Canada happening in this league right now?
You know, not at all. I'm an American, live in the United States. I'm a hockey fan. You know, I think if you can create cross-border opportunity, then that can just elevate your business and create more passion. I don't think there's anybody in the United States that doesn't look with admiration as to what goes on in Canada with hockey, and I think we're starting to see some Americans looking north of the border and having that same feeling. The excitement we have in Vancouver is certainly very high. The potential in Montreal will provide us with, I think, even a greater level or an opportunity to perhaps think about even more teams in the future. So I think this is all good. This is a global sport. The fact that we have two countries in our league is a positive, and who knows, maybe at some point you could even expand it south of the border. If FIFA would let us do that, that would be even better.
Just wait till we win, though. They'll be really mad.
Continuing with our questions in the back.
Sébastien Saint-François, French CBC. A question for Commissioner Garber. My colleagues back in Montreal are all up in a tizzy because there's a story making the rounds right now that has you being quoted as saying that Montreal in 2012 is almost a done deal. What can you tell us about that? Is it really a done deal, or where are we at in negotiations right now?
Well, the actual quote was from MLS President Mark Abbott, who was up at a press event in Vancouver, and the customs person, when he got off the plane, said, what are you doing here in Vancouver? He said, well, I'm here to have an event with the Whitecaps. And he said, I hear Montreal's coming in 2011. And Mark said, no, if they do come in, it will be 2012. So I wanted to make that clear, and we heard that was making the rounds in Montreal yesterday. The earliest Montreal could come in would be 2012. We've met with the Saputo family as recently as yesterday, and we believe they'll be great owners. Montreal will be a terrific MLS market. We've been active with the provincial government to try to work on a package similar to what happened here in Toronto and in Ontario to help Saputo Stadium get up to a level that would be appropriate for their fan base. And we'll continue to work hard with them. The long story short is nothing is done, but we believe the family would be a great ownership group, and it would be a terrific market for us.
Excellent. Our next question, the gentleman in the back.
Gareth Wheeler, Sun Media. Tom, of course, the fans are crazy about Toronto FC. Is there any concern about, I guess, the fans in the city's interest about MLS soccer as a whole?
I don't think so. I think what we've seen right from the get-go is people have embraced this league, both arms, and we've sold out every game right from the get-go, and I think they're loving the sport. And where we got to go next is we got to deliver. And I'll tell you what, if we're in this game, I don't care if there's 4 feet of snow, it's going to be good. And that's the next job now is competing, making the playoffs, and moving forward. But our fans have totally bought into this league.
Let me expand on what Tom just said. I have to say, when we were in Seattle and we knew we had we had lousy weather, and we wanted and hoped that we would sell out the reduced stadium at Quest Field, and the team wasn't in the championship game. The Sounders fans came out because it was an important statement for them to show the world who they were and how much they cared about the game. All those folks in the back, we have confidence if the team is not in, that they'll want to use the stadium as a platform to show people in Toronto, fans around the league, and the whole world, since this game will be broadcast in 230 countries, who the Red Patch Boys are, who TFC fans are, how passionate they are about the game. I think that will be, the ultimate opportunity for them to show their passion for the sport.
All right, additional questions from our journalists. Do we have any additional questions? All right, we'll go back to Dan. Gerard, hang on one second for the wireless microphone. And just one quick note, the attendance at MLS Cup 2009 was 46,000 up in Seattle, and clearly the Sounders were not in that match.
Picking up on that aspect of it, Commissioner, the attendance figure now with the new stands, I think, is 21,700 at BMO Field, which would be the second or third smallest crowd for an MLS Cup. How big a deal is that, or is this about the TV in the 230 countries?
Yeah, it's listen. I've said to Richard many times that if they built a 45,000-seat stadium, they'd be selling out 45,000 seats. But that wasn't in the plan in 2005 and 6 when we started talking. And I sit here today, and we love that the environment there, the fact that it's tight, that stadium is always rocking, that it's a tough place for people to come into, that you could see the skyline. I don't know that we would have done it any differently even if we knew the size of the fan base, Richard. I'd probably speak for you there as well. So this game really isn't about the revenue that comes from the crowd. It's about the statement that we make about where our league is, and having people hanging from the rafters and having those images around the world with mostly, I would expect, people in red and doing what they do every week, supporting their club, now supporting the game. Soccer fans are passionate about the sport. I'm sure most of those people in the back of the room, they're TFC fans, but they've got a club somewhere around the world that they're following. And many reporters said to us a number of years ago, do you think that those fans would ever embrace a local team that's not playing at the level of Serie A? And we knew they would, and we know they'll come out and they'll support our league and the league that they've grown to really love over the last couple of years.
Excellent. Back to Gareth.
Gareth, yeah. Once again, those people at the back of the room, they'll be all over this game, no doubt, because they're soccer fans. But what they want to see more is a winner on the field here in Toronto. And I just wonder if games like this and the reports that Manchester United's coming this summer, how much more pressure does that put on the organization to put a winner on the field? And does that make you want to speed up the process that much more? And what do you plan on doing about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, Gareth. And I probably misunderstood your previous question a little bit when I answered it. But I mean, clearly, this thing's been a home run since the get-go, and it's been all about the fans. And then the next order of business here is taking the next step as a team. I mean, so we always feel the pressure of winning in this industry. I mean, it's kind of part of the turf. And we've had 4 years, and I think we've had lots of patience by our fans. We said from the get-go that we wanted to build slowly and build a foundation of success that could sustain itself. And now it's show-up time, and we've got to take a next step this year.
The mayor's. He's a pretty passionate fan. What do you think, Mayor?
It's time to win, I just know. But look, the fans are unbelievable. But if you go on the blogs, people are ready for a winner with Julian and Dero. It's time. I think people were really proud the club acquired those players. But it's a great experience. But it's Toronto's ready for a winner. We want a cup here, Mr. Commissioner. You brought us a cup. We now want our turn to hold it. Yes, exactly. And I'll still be the mayor on November 21st. So.